had to download all my stuff. I'm using my camera, which has video camera things. Um, I know that my hand sometimes gets in the way, so hopefully you can still get a couple of stuff. So, like I was saying with mouths, is basically, even though they're not a perfect shape, because Heather's smiling in this one, it'll actually be slightly easier to draw because it's what you want to draw, kind of typically, a smile. But I might actually do a couple other videos if I have time at some point, post some things about just mouths and other stuff in general. Um, uh, One thing with teeth, definitely, they're not just, don't just do vertical and then horizontal. That's not what it looks like. Um, so I think a lot of points in this video can just be summed up as, like I said at the beginning, draw what you see, not what you think you see. Because what your brain is trying to tell you that you actually see really isn't actually what you're seeing. Okay, so I kind of feel bad because I know that you can't, my hand's in the way, kind of, so, because I'm right-handed. Actually, okay, let me see. I think, let's go on a road trip real quick. I want you to be able to see what I'm doing while I'm doing this, so, yay, you guys just traveled to the other edge of my computer. So, let me see if I can actually... There we go. Okay. Hopefully my hand's not as much in the way now. And when I'm done, I'll post like a scan of the picture with other things. Okay. So in this picture, Heather's also wearing braces, which I haven't drawn before, so I think for now, I'm hesitant to actually draw them, but I'm going to do my best here. I'm going to stop talking for a second just so I can focus on it, so I'm sorry for the awkward silence. One thing I will point out, each tooth kind of curls in on itself, so don't just do one curl, make sure to add another one. And then, the gum will fill up there. So, it's kind of like rainbow this way, rainbow that way, and then try to make the lines fit in together. A lot of times it doesn't seem like it'll actually make much difference, but it really does, and it makes it look a lot more realistic. His teeth aren't perfectly straight, they're actually rounded. Okay, so let me see what I can do with that. So, also make sure that you come over an outline. Anything that needs to be like over something, like this lip is going to be over the teeth. So even if you've kind of got it like that, if you are drawing in the teeth, make sure you come back in here and outline the lip again. That way it looks like it's actually over the teeth. If you don't do this, then it'll sometimes look like the wrong thing is popping out. Like if I don't come back over here and outline this, then it'll look like the scarf is actually on top of her face. So it's kind of the 3D effect that make sure to do your outlines over again to make sure they have a certain look. I'm going to leave her teeth like this and come back to them, and I might try to actually put in the braces, maybe not, I don't know. I think I'd rather practice them somewhere else because they might come out kind of weird in this because I haven't done them before. So, Heather, congrats, you get your braces off early because I just don't know how to draw them. Okay, so, so with eyes again are not perfect circles at all. They really, and everyone has different eyes. That's what makes, I think a lot of people are attracted to people's eyes because they really are unique. but there still is a general thing. Like, there's generally a rainbow like this on top. The top of the eye generally is just an arc. And then in here, you're going to get a corner like this, and it's going to get thin, and then you're going to bring it out and under like this, and then it's going to meet back here in another kind of point. Make sure not to make them too pointy, sort of add around, because eyes aren't perfectly, don't have, you know, triangles. And yeah, I just want to stop right here. Right here, it really doesn't look right. You know, like I said before, it really is going to take a little time for it to look right. I want to... There we go. So, you know, I get to this point in my pictures, and a lot of times I want to just throw it across the wall because it doesn't look right. But, anyways, also, don't just do one eye and then do the other one. I've learned this from experience. A lot of times people, you know, obviously including me, will do one eye and then go to the other eye, and something will be off on the one eye, or you'll do like a perfect eye, and then you'll come and try to do the other one, and you just can't do it right, and then you want to switch something in the other eye and all this other stuff, and then it becomes really hard to do. So try to do both at a time. So, you know, take it in little baby steps. Be like, well, here's the outline of the eye, now I'm going to switch over and do it to the other eye. That way, if you know you need to switch something, you don't have to erase like the entire eye and other things. It becomes a lot easier, and it'll overall come off a lot more symmetrical, and hopefully the eyes will actually, you know, look the same, not like two different ones. Now, as you see, like, her hair is even going over part of her eye, so they will end up looking, you know, slightly different. And that's okay. So again, draw what you see, not what you think you see. Okay, another thing about eyes is the eyelid. I think that's another thing that's sometimes forgotten about. So that will give it the 3D look. You know, don't just draw an eye. Make sure they've actually got an eyelid too. And again, draw what you actually see. The eyelid tends to blend in down here. I mean, in our brains, I think sometimes we think the eyelid should just be a rainbow on top of it, but it doesn't actually do that. It looks more like something like that. And this actually, the eyelid position changes a lot depending on the person. There is kind of a bottom eyeline, kind of eyelid kind of thing sometimes, but you have to have really good shading to make it not look like a wrinkle. So I tend to just do shading and not actually add a line for that, because I don't know how to do that perfectly. Okay, so forgive me, I'm going to stop talking for a second so I can place the iris correctly. Okay, as opposed to other things I've told you, the iris really does tend to be almost a perfect circle or an oval, depending on what you want it to do. So that's one thing that you can actually be like, oh, I remember now. You know, like an iris is a perfect circle, and that'll give you some help. Irises, though, they do get placed differently on each eye, so they're not going to be in the same position. But you want to make sure they're the same size. You know, don't make one circle bigger than another one. So they should be similar sizes. Like if you see here, they are slightly different, so that's why it's good to do both eyes at the same time, so you can look at them and be like, oh, this one's slightly bigger, and then change it as you go, instead of going back and being like, oh, dang it, my perfectly shaded eye needs to be 2 millimeters, you know, a little closer, you know, and then you're like, no, I don't want to erase my whole eye. So that's another benefit of actually doing them at the same time. So I haven't filled in her eyes yet, but one thing to also remember is you want them to be looking the same direction. On the actual picture, okay, let me say, irises tend to reflect a lot, and they can reflect like the entire room if you look in them rightly, so you really do need to know how to draw them to make them look like they're looking at the same direction. I'm going to turn off the camera real quick and start a new one, and I'm going to stop talking, and I'm just going to let you watch me fill in the rest of the face, and then I will give pointers at the end.